Hello and welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're all well and you've had a great weekend. Let's get straight on with the price action analysis. And I'm going to start with the 4-hour and work my way up. So Bitcoin's had a pretty low volatility weekend since I last spoke to you. It's basically been sideways. Now, excuse me, to make that rather more interesting, because Bitcoin's not making itself interesting, I can pick out a little trend for your viewing pleasure. Now, you can see, so if you zoom out, this is the RSI, right? So you can see it's, slowly building in opposition to the slowly declining price action. So there's definitely some bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. You can also see that building momentum on the MACD as well, which is, effectively bullish divergence. It's getting very close to the zero line and will indeed cross above it when Bitcoin crosses or closes 4 hours back above, probably somewhere between 98,000 and 98.5, right? So about $500 away from there at the moment. And all of that is nicely summed up. Get rid of the RSI now so that the picture is rather more clear. All of that is rather nicely summed up in the Bollinger Band here. So you can see very narrow for this 4-hour time frame, and indeed that reflects the low volatility. What's significant about this, though, is that if you look at the price action since basically last week, so Monday, it's been a sequence of lower highs, right? Until today, about midday in the UK, where Bitcoin put in a high on the 4-hour time frame, right? And so that's clearly the start of a change in character. Now, for it to be confirmed, needs to put in a higher low, so compared to here, which is basically around sort of 94.5-ish. And so if it puts in a higher low as well, that's a change in trend from one of down to one of up. So, that makes it more likely that there'll be price action to the upside to follow. And in the context of low volatility with the narrow Bollinger Bands, then it's likely that move will be to the upside. Also, if Bitcoin can remain above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, which is coming in at sort of 96.5, then that makes the upside move when volatility expands more likely. So this is starting to look a bit more like a change in the recent downtrend on the 4-hour into potentially an uptrend. But it's the start. Next thing you need is a higher low. So bear that in mind. Over to the daily, you can see massive range since the November. It seems like a long time ago now. Just a couple of months, getting on for 2.5 months. And not much has happened, right? Bitcoin's been within this range for daily closures between 92 and 106, and it's somewhere in between there at the moment. Now, the Bollinger Band, there might have been a little bit of a volatility expansion to the downside, but not much. And you can see the volatility is cooling off again as the Bollinger Bands narrow once again. But to be honest, in this whole section, there hasn't been proper expansion on the Bollinger Bands. There's just been slight sort of oscillations. And so that's price action brewing, right? It's a move brewing on the daily time frame. To make the upside more likely for that brewing move, Bitcoin's got to close, in my opinion, daily's back above 100K, which is the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. It's also an obvious support resistance area, somewhere between 100 and 102. So that needs to be the first pivot, in my humble opinion. And let's hope if the 4-hour does what it looks like it's going to do, that might bleed into the daily time frame. The momentum is to the downside on the daily time frame, but it's sort of hovering, just like here and here, just sort of slightly dips below the zero line and then hopefully makes another move to the upside. It did that in this consolidation. I mean, this consolidation did have some bigger moves, but it was basically consolidation. You can see that the momentum sort of flip-flopped a little bit around the zero line. Let's see, MACD what I use the MACD for, which is as a momentum indicator. Above the zero line, upside momentum, below the zero line, downside momentum. So yeah, it is downside at the moment, but not desperately strong. And as long as Bitcoin can close the daily back above 97.5, which is hovering around, then that's going to turn green and start to approach the zero line from below. It's also going to then probably be approaching the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, 100K, and then we'll see what happens. So for the week to come, we'll see. Probably no great shakes, probably no break of the range, but hopefully some upside price action. Now, the weekly, we'll just have a quick look to see where it closed. And you can see this is the weekly candle from last week. So it turned into a doji candle, an indecision candle. It's kind of where it was from Wednesday onwards because volatility was pretty low. Within the context of sideways weekly price action, it's just much the same, no changes based on last week's closure. However, and I referenced this last week too, you can see the midpoint of the Bollinger Band is coming in about 90K now, which is pretty much the low of January. And for the trending move to the upside to continue on a weekly time frame, you can see Bitcoin really needs to remain above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. Because on these trending moves, these big moves to the upside, 50% move, bit of consolidation, 50% move, it always remained above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, even though it flirted and touched at one point here and very close here. So I'm looking at this in a similar manner to this, as in preceding the next big move to the upside. I don't know what's going to happen, but from the sort of timelines of the bull run, and it's very likely on the time from previous timelines to be over. I think that what we're looking at now is just a slightly more protracted version of this, and therefore there should be an upside move to follow. But it needs to defend on a weekly time frame that 90-ish K, which is the midpoint of Bollinger Band. You can see it was the same here, right? For the trending move, apart from that little blip, it pretty much trended. The trending move was price action above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. Same for downside, during the bear market of 2021, 2022, more or less was all below the midpoint of the zero line on the weekly time frame. Now, the midpoint of the Bollinger Band on the weekly time frame, which is 20 SMA. That's all it is. John Bollinger very cleverly turned into some volatility momentum bands. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed the price action analysis. If so, please like and subscribe, and join me next time for some more Bitcoin price action analysis. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.